Hello everyone, this is William aka DogFX from the DC Rules Committee. This is a talk I've given to an improvised panel we did in Châteauroux in France last Saturday for the French people who were at this MTG Universal Prime Festival. We had 175 players, and we made a panel with some members of the Duel Commander's Rule Committee, and I wanted to share a few thoughts and statistics with you regarding the format and in history. So, whatever you're going to see here is work I usually do as a technical coordinator in the Rules Committee, and also it's something I assembled and designed alone, even though I think pretty one saw the slides and say, yeah, that's pretty right. So let's go into it. Before we go, I'm just going to make some little prehistory about what led to the Duel Commander being created. Note, I'm just going a little slower than I did in real life because I got some time ahead. So as you know, Magic the Gathering was created in 1993, and during the August is that magic moment when Atkins just ran around these conventions and shops to see if the game was working, while Richard Garfield was waiting at home, hoping that this would be the best. As far as I could search on the internet, I found out some people to pretend that they were playing Singleton since, like, Magic was born, basically, like, since 1993, as soon as the game was out. So, yeah, people started to play Singleton very, very early. If you remember, maybe for all of you, you can use webarchive.org. On Wizards of the Coast old website, before it was a Drupal redesign, like, I don't know, 7 to 8 years ago, something like that. There used to be a page listing all alternate formats made by the community, up to 216 of them, I think, from memory, was such a large thing. King of the Hill, attack left, attack right, all the variants you could imagine that were non-official. In June 1996, during the summer, something that may be recalling to the older of us what we used to call paper magazines. One of the most notable in the United States, called The Duelist. A writer named Jesus M. Lopez wrote an article about a format I don't remember, invented or saw being played. I think he talked about a phenomenon called the Elder Dragon Legend Wars, which was a format more or less with 60 cards being played, like you would play in Constructed, but you had up to 3 different legendary creatures, and the building was constrained by what would later be the color identity. So you had creatures like when you had a lieutenant, a commander, and a general, and when you killed them, you usually did a life drain or something like kill your commander, he's exiled, he goes back to what is a pre-existence of the command zone before it existed, and again 5 line, and you lose 5 lives, etc. So that was a very fun article. It's still findable on the internet. Somewhere circa 1996, some really amazing person named Adam Staley in the city of Fairbanks in Alaska created a format that joined pretty much what Singleton and Elder Dragons were. So those things were called Elder Dragon Highlander, because Adam was playing with 2 of his friends. You can find everything what I'm talking about right now on the Duel Commander website in the history article, and you got many links, like they are probably getting erased one by one from the memory of internet, because it's getting old. Star City Games was the main host for all articles, but still you can find something to read. I swear you need half an hour to read the whole article, and if you follow the links, you're gonna use pretty much like 3 to 4 hours to read every other articles. But it's worth a lot if you like history and what made all Commander existing, like way before it existed. So in 1996, he created this format. He invited 2 friends of him to play in Alaska, and then moved down to the capital city of Alaska, Anchorage, and forcefully invited 2 more friends to play because they played what is very close to what we play like in Commander today, except they used to play with the emblematic dragons from Legends Edition extension, so it was, I don't remember their names, but Vivictis, Nicol-Bolas, Paladis Morse, those 5 dragons. There are 5 dragons, and they were their commander. Hence the name Elder Dragon Highlander, because there were Elder Dragons from the Legends, absolutely mythic sets from Wizards of the Coast. And the thing is, at that moment in Alaska, in Anchorage, one of the greatest judges alive, Sheldon Mannery, who was a military for the Air Force at that time, was working at the same city. So Anchorage is quite large. I don't remember. I think it's 140,000 inhabitants, something like that. I don't remember, but I need to check. But it's a pretty large city, actually. So there were lots of places to play Magic. So, of course, Sheldon Mannery, who is the only judge in the world to wear the title of Judge Emeritus, because he practically made the whole organized play exist and structured it for years over the early years of Magic the Gathering. So it couldn't be a better meeting. Maybe Mark Rosewater or something like that, but meeting Sheldon was already a great thing. So Sheldon met these guys. He plays all the alternate Magic the Gathering format he can find. He's a fan of Magic, and he understood really fast that Elder Dragon Highlander was pretty interesting. So he started building decks and playing with them and making sure things go viral, because judges have plans and have projects all the time. If you are a judge and you register on the DCI judge website, you will see that you are invited to conduct initiatives to encourage projects, help tournament organizers, translate documents, help building the rules. Whatever project you have that is helping understanding Magic the Gathering and rules and organizing play is welcomed by the judge community. So Sheldon was very interested into that and started working articles on I'm going to activate the laser pointer on Star City Games, and it was great. So the first one probably was August 2004, and at that point he was so involved into helping creating the rules and the social contracts and stuff that actually in 2005 so many people were playing Elder Dragon Highlander they had to create an official committee to just, let's say, gather the rules and prevent hoaxes and fake news being spread all around on the United States of America, so the people would just refer to some unique place. So they created a website and it really exploded. They started playing Elder Dragon Highlander a lot between judges, and Kevin Després, a French judge, level 4 back then, now 5, of course going to Grand Prix and stuff like that, while resting in the back rooms with other judges, not being on the front line of a tournament, while playing and having some good time, waiting. And Sheldon make a demonstration with Scott Larrabee and other people. They say, just look at this, it's really good. They started playing Elder Dragon Highlander. And of course, since it was already taken, Kevin had the idea of, twisting the principle, but just to make sure people play it in duel, like Magic was originally intended before the two-headed giant variant was added. And so he started a new project, then he gathered more judges, like I think he gathered Claire Dupré, then Daniel Kitachevsky, then more people from the Duel Committee, lots of them, and he started creating an official Duel Commander committee. It was in France, so yeah. More and more people joined it and stuff. So then Commander, the official take from Wizards of the Coast on Elder Dragon Highlander was created and announced by the end of year 2010. So the first packs would be released in 2011. I think it was August 2011, something like that. So they announced that they would be doing that, and the more you read articles, the more we read when you understand that clearly it was going to be Elder Dragon Highlander with official rules and judges and of course lawyers and everyone passing over it just to make sure they could do it without having intellectual property problems. So they did. And later on, I'm passing a lot of steps, but you have a recognition by Wizards of the Coast of whatever is mtgcommander.net. So then in 2017, a very small portion of Wizards of the Coast's empire, the Magic the Gathering online team, who were using Commander as a possible casual play with up to 4 players, I think, since the beginning, started to sense that they could have an interest into building a different sets of rules when you were playing a game with only one opponent. So they just started to lower the total HP when you start the game. They started to have a specific ban and restricted list, and they tried to do something. So pretty much later on, it didn't really success. I mean, they didn't maintain the format for long because it was lots of work, and of course, it was not the whole Wizards of the Coast thing. So we're not sure that we're connected to completely connected. Of course, they're connected, but not maybe fully linked, tethered to the research and development team. So it wasn't something that lasted very long. But there was an effervescence in the community and the pro players and article writers and stuff. In 2018, they created Brawl. Then they made Brawl on Magic Arena. They added Historic Brawl. Pretty sure we're gonna have Pioneer Brawl or Modern Brawl at some point, but it's going to be existing more or less. So that was prehistory. And now about the Duel Commander itself, a little history. As I said in 2006, somewhere around that, Kevin stood and brought the idea of Commander to Europe with dual orientation, as I said, created the committee in 2007, made the first rulebook as a PDF, maybe it's still available on the web cache in the internet, you can still find the original web book, and the first announcements and communications done on forums and community websites, mostly in France. And first websites created around 2011. Then later on, Facebook is adopted, migrated for communication for very internal reasons in 2015. Then in 2016, there was a major switch, going from 30 to 20 live totals challenge, which made everyone switch back to more close original Magic the Gathering rules, removing also the commanded damage and some stuff like that. In 2016, same year, the first world record was beaten for 200 players with 212 players on site. The previous records were 192 and 190, I think. In 2020, we started having a new website. We created it as a main reference. It's a Google website, so it shouldn't go down. Then we added Discord. We still use Facebook too for communication and stuff. And this April 2022, a new world record again was beaten with exactly 250 players, and we topped 1,000 members on the official Discords and many non-official Discords starting before us, and they also have more than 1,000 or 2,000 members, so which is pretty nice. If you don't know what this is the complete historical banned and restricted list for both Duel Commander and Magic Online Commander 1 versus 1 throughout history. So the Magic the Gathering for Commander Online MTGO is starting with this line vertically. So this is past and this is present, right? The last announcements, July 2022 is here. And this is 2007. Before 2007, it's just impossible to find really precise lists. And before 2008, it's approximate lists. There was a lot of social contracts and lots of homemade rules, okay? So if you see this bar, this black bar on the left. Here you can see some bluish, purplish things depending on what color of the screen given. But this is the restricted commanders, and on the right, the two furs on the right here is all the other cards being restricted. I do not. I stacked some of them, like the 5 Moxies here are stacked on one line probably and stuff like that on the top. So it's really also it's classified, you see white, blue, colorless, green, etc. So that's what it is. So we always keep this kind of document, and it's pretty good to have some history, things like that. All right. So I wanted to add some more statistics. Just to tell you who the committee is, there have been around 45 people more or less joining as a member of the committee throughout history since the beginning up to today. We currently have 5 core members who actually get to take the last word and be the decisionary people. So whatever is taken in terms of structure, people adopting, inviting people into the committee, making the rules and everything, this is core member decisions, all right? So they do everything as the decision. They discuss everything and more than you can imagine. They are always on the edge. They practically discuss on a daily basis. Then you have 5 advisors, which are there who are there for guidance. You know, they are just here for to provide external point of views, mostly because some of them are judges, level 1 and 2. We have pretty good players who have what we call pro players. Some of them are professional with, sponsorship and stuff, and they are heavily competitive. We have lots of different people and profiles, actually. This is how we gather information from everyone. Then we have, at the moment, 8 regional coordinators who are there for linking, with external communities, because it's extremely hard, because we don't usually just find, people don't really go abroad like on a daily basis for no reason, especially after the COVID situation. But even though there were not COVID-19 situations, we don't travel that much. Nobody travels and goes to the countries all over the world, even if you would judge or something. So it's pretty hard to get news and impressions from outside communities, especially when you want to have to get rid of the communal reinforcement cognitive bias. So you don't want to have one opinion, because if you read the same places, you will have the same opinions all the time. And it's pretty enjoyable to see that people have very different point of views at different places in the world. It doesn't come from region, from area. It doesn't come from a geographical point of view. It just comes from the matter of as hermetic discussions. So the people are very differently biased and bring a lot of different information. So the coordinators are here to, spread the word and also gather information we might miss, like tournaments happening and people's opinions and stuff. So it's always good to have them. And also, we're not really French, as you see. We have currently 19 people, and 8 people of 19 are not French. And one technical advisor, which is me. Hello. I just do whatever has to be done with the committee. Some statistics, I do the websites, the announcements, the texts. I'm fairly fluent. I'm not saying bilingual, because the real native English people listening to this say, well, no, you're French. Yes, I'm French, but I'm trying my best to speak English and write it as best as I can. So I do some Discord administration too. I link people, and I'm making sure, because I'm an agile coach, in real life, for the people who understand what that is. I make sure teams can work together. So I'm a team coach. That's what I do too. We do publish, as the committee, announcements on the website, mtgdc.info. I'm going to talk about this one just after this. Facebook, on the page MTG Duel Commander, and Discord with the official Duel Commander. We make an announcement that we publish on the last Monday of the month, every odd month, which is January, March, May, July, September, and November, and usually it's 8 p.m. I didn't make the precision. It's Paris time. It's the central France, metropolitan France time zone. It's 1 hour offset from London and Greenwich time zone. Okay, so just let me repeat. We just make an announcement, and the announcement is published every last Monday, every odd month, usually at 20 hours or 8 hours PM if you want to talk with AM and PM. All right? So we have a website that is mtgdc.info, but some people usually use it for one precise page, but actually we try to add as many sections as we can. First of all, it's got a quick start guide for beginners. Don't forget that there are a lot of beginners, and I would say actually 80% people might be beginners to Duel Commander in the world, so they don't really know what starts. So it's pretty good. If your friends are starting Magic the Gathering, it's good. It's acceptable to start with Duel Commander, but they will have a very broad amount of keywords and different cards and a panel of 24,000 cards ahead of them. So it's pretty hard, but they can do it and they can understand Magic through this way. It's a pretty harsh way to start, but it's a pretty good one, I think. So yeah. We have a history of DC, as I said. It's an article I wrote, and I'm maintaining this article as recurringly as I can every time I think something is to be added to that. We have a page about us, and this is quickly recapping how we work, just like right now what I'm showing you, and these slides contain information like the announcements, but are on the About Us page. So you can, if you want to know who we are, how we work, when we publish announcements and stuff, everything is written on this page about us. By the way, if you guys have any feedback, anything that you think is lacking to these sections, any contribution is more than welcome. This is not a cold tower we live in. We are just really open to anything. Especially this one, the frequently asked questions. So some people might think that some things are tricky, like how many relentless rats you can make you can build in a pack of singleton Duel Commander. It's just a reminder, frequently asked questions do not define rules. They just remind you the Magic rules most of the time, and sometimes Duel Commander rules. But if you got some questions like a double-faced card as a commander, I don't know about everything, that's maybe complicated for some people, especially when you didn't have the answer given to you first, should be here, and we intend to keep adding more and more of this. We also have a comprehensive rules. If you want to read all the rules, we might be rewriting them very soon because they are accurate, but they might not be written according to a very perfectly legal-ish English, so we might rewrite the rules pretty soon. They won't change, they will just be rewritten to be clarified. Then you got a form and the answers, the classified answers soon to come, with something that says ask the committee. Of course, if you're asking something temporarily limited, like how about this card or this card that just went out and the card gets, I don't know, banned the next announcement, your question doesn't stand very much. It's just lost in time and people will just read an old document that comes from the edges. But more structural questions and things like that, what might be more clever to say, what do you think about control games in Duel Commander or stuff like that? I don't know what questions you would ask, but it's always open, and we'll try to answer all the questions that are not insulting, not biased, and sometimes even good questions, but limited in time questions will be more or less rejected. They're not really what you would like to see. I mean, if you just have an answer about another card or deck or whatever, you would just consider everything to be outdated pretty fast, as the format is moving. So then we have the history of all the announcements. I did take all the announcements after 2015, because we used to do them on the page, and the older ones have been archived, and you can find them on the internet using a search engine. If you really want to know what was fresh in November 2013, you can. We have a banned and restricted page because, of course, Duel Commander has several ways of forbidding cards to be played. We have the policy of enhancing by authorizing the maximum number of cards we can allow because of the 99 or 98 whatever dilution. So it's fine sometimes to have just a card being restricted as a commander. So you have the page with all the sections. I'm going back to this after a few slides after this one. And you have the community directory. You can just contact us if you have anyone, you know, a shop, an organization, an official way of playing, you know, a local or online community, could be a Discord, could be I don't know, Reddit, could be whatever you find, but the people talking about Duel Commander would be great. All right, so we just add everything to this directory as soon as we can, as long as it's active. If you also have bad news like this not active anymore, just tell us so that the people don't go to wrong people trying to have news from something that doesn't exist anymore. But so far it's fresh. So if you have news or locally, we intend to add anything in the world that can be added. And what I mean by in the world is going to be shown to you after a few slides. So I wanted to add a few stats. Those are not biased, they are purely raw statistics that I made. So first, about the BNR itself, about the banned restricted list. This is a history of all the cards through time. As you can see, this is here is 2007, and here is the present. All right. So by the way, it went down because we took a structural change in 2022. There was another structural change here at the end of 2026. So as you see, this is a polynomial regression curve with 4 factors, I think. So it doesn't really go far. It's pretty large, but if you just have it raw, you might be worried about the length. But if you look at this graph, this is with a sawtooth here. This discrete graphic is all the new cards printed every year. So for example, here in 1993 is alpha plus beta editions plus antiquities, and etc, etc, etc. So this is the new cards, paper only, non-digital cards that were added by Wizards every year, and this is the number of cards on the BNR list. So as you can see, there's a highly decorrelated curve. You know, it's raising as the cards are raising, but the cards is raising way faster than we do. And actually, if you were to put a ratio on this gives you this yellow curve in the middle that says what's the ratio between published cards in the past, of course it's stable there, and the newly banned. All right, this is the net banned cards each and every year. Okay, this is not the total. This is the net, the positive minus the negative, which is like here 35 is the total things that were banned or restricted at that year. 29 is the new total. It's not the new banned and something. You know, this is it doesn't tell you how many cards were released as legal and made illegal, but it's the net result of the sum plus the negative. So this is the total here that is at the end of the year, of course, at the end of the year. This is, of course, you can have only 699 cards published in 2010 in December, all right, at the 31st of December at midnight. So this is the yearly ratio from banned cards, also of the totally new published cards. And if you wanted to use the same graph with the cumulated total first prints for every card, again, non-digital, all right? This is the cumulative non-digital cards that are printed by Wizards of the Coast throughout the years. It's the same as last graph, but accumulated. And this is the ratio on the total of cards being published. So as you see, it's really, really discrete and doesn't move very much. Remember, this is more or less 2 or 3 cards. This is a really slow percent. You know, this is 0.1%, 0.3%, 0.4%. So it's really not moving a lot. So currently the BNR has 3 sections. The first one is the structural reminder, which allows listing the 512 cards one by one. So the squared corner and gold bordered cards have no reason to be listed because they are all reprints. So they are legal or not legal as the official prints, but as long as they got a square corner or gold borders, they're not allowed. Same for the silver bordered cards, but this one makes cards banned because they're silver, up to 460 arena with the 5 unsets. The gold border and square corner cards have cards, actually. It's not 0 here, but they're not banned because they have gold borders, especially. It doesn't change the legality. It's just you can play some cards that are gold bordered. They are legal as long as they're white or black bordered. But silver bordered are 100% banned. The basic lands, from what I remember, have black borders in these editions, so they're allowed. The 25 conspiracies, of course, which are the format of the Magic card, the weight, the size, everything, but they are just non-functional outside conspiracy draft. Once you finish drafting, these cards go to the dustbin, except for collectors. Anything that's not a Magic card too is forbidden. The 9 cards with anti, the original one, when you used to anti something before the game, you're playing with anti and you say, I'm gonna bid some cards or something, one money, whatever bribery you think you're doing. And winner takes it all, so you don't. And the 9 cards are intended for casual play only, are just removed like in every Magic format. The 2 physical abilities rated cards, Chaos Orb and Falling Star, are removed too for reasons you obviously understand. If you don't know, these cards are supposed to be thrown in the air, and depending on how they land, you just destroy more or less cards, which is really, really debatable and absolutely not competition oriented. 7 offensive cards marked by Wizards of the Coast in 2020, I think. Because there were names and arts and decoration, text like ambience text, were really not suitable for younger audience, as they come from another era. And the sub-game card, because it's really amazing to play Charizard, but it's actually a nightmare on tournaments, especially with handling the tables. So, the cards that are banned as a commander only, you got 28 of them currently as I'm speaking. You got 12 of them which change the way commanders work, and 60 we don't. You got 11 with mana over 3 and 17 with mana value under or equal to 3. So you have also those colors. I'm going to show you the color pie after this. And you have the cards that are completely banned and not restricted to non-commander. There are 79 as I'm speaking. And if you look at the restricted color, so this is only for the restricted commanders, okay? So these cards cannot be played as a commander. It's pretty balanced. You see there's a little more of blue, 28%, and slightly less of green with 14, but it's not really a bad thing. Don't forget that most of the cards are multicolored, so they are one or more, so they're not strictly one color, all right? It doesn't mean anything if you take the colors one by one. So this is a slide I don't want you to read completely, but it's just to show you where the different sets which contain a restricted card come from. So again, this is not a ban card, this is a restricted card, okay? So ban is a commander if you like. So the Commander 16 edition here holds the most, and Commander 17 holds the most, just followed by Commander Legends here. And then it falls to other editions like, Zendikar Rising, Innistrad's Commander 2011, User's Destiny, this is Fate Reforged, Ravnica Allegiance, Sever Revolt, Battlebound. I don't think I know all of them. Do I know all of them? I'm not sure. Modern Horizons 2, Modern Horizons 1, NDC, I just knew, I don't know, I don't remember which one. Ikoria, Throne of Eldraine, Dragons of Talk here, etc. So this is to show you that we got bans from pretty much a lot of sets. Actually, it's not really one, but the commander sets are pretty numerous. Actually, if you were to separate these things into what would be on the right here, commander sets, and here standard sets, all packed together, but you see the angle, okay? And I bursted out also the non-commander and non-standard sets, which is actually Modern Horizons and Modern Horizons 2 and Battlebound. You can see pretty much where there's something adding cards to the BNR, right? Of course, this is again to restricted sets and the Commander First Prints, right? The reprints and the the fully banned card are not on this list. So You can play whatever you want in the format. The question is, some people always say it's quite expensive. Well, playing Magic the Gathering in Eternal format, where all the cards would be legal, is expensive. And sorting by price is not really the good answer. But what I wanted to tell you is that when Wizards of the Coast started doing Commander in 2011, when the first sets were printed, there were actually 12, if you take the cards in July, 12,163 legal cards at the time. Physical only. And now we have a total of 24,123. I think these numbers actually include the non-physical cards, the digital only. So the numbers might be a little high, and you would reduce to 23 something if you just take the non-digital cards only. So if you consider, you would go on a neutral website. We are in Europe, so we use Card Market, could use eBay, could use Star City Games, could use a lot of them, Troll and Toad, lots of websites. Asian, I would take Hallelujah, I would take lots of these websites. But if you look at them, you can see that if you take whatever card is considered good and plus, which is pretty nice actually. Good and plus means your card is really clearly readable and not so bad in terms of condition. Not made for absolutely exquisite collectors, but not made for trash, okay? I sorted out the top 20 out of the top 200 I made on top sound. It's quite hard to maintain this every month. So you can look at them and you see that actually there are many cards that you would never played, but we haven't seen played for a lot of time. Like Juzumjin here, Ifbi Fifrit, Lithium Graveyard, Riding the Dilu Horse, Eureka is maybe good, I don't know, you know, the Nether Void here, the Badlands Bayou are very played, but Omen of the Seas are not really played. Island of Walk or Ali from Cairo is just not played. Abyss is really hard, it's an insane card, but hard to play in Singleton. See, that actually means you got some pretty lots of cards. Of course, this is a 100% reserve list, I think. This is pretty nice because we don't really need the most expensive cards most of the time. Actually, with the help of Martial of Mars, we did we did a calculation and we tried to put on a graph the top cards that we could find on MTG Top 8, so on winning decks, not on the whole population, right? But on the winning decks, on the top performing decks, we would take the cards and we would just consider that whatever Card Market grades as poor is probably playable, but there's a chance that the card is cut into so damaged that you cannot read it, etc. So we just removed the poor stated cards by the sellers, of course, and we just took the first prices, where the prices starts for something which what I believe Card Markets call played or heavy played. All right, depending on what you have in mind, but it just means the card is in really bad condition, but still playable on a tournament. If you show it to a judge, they'll say, all right, it's not the best card of the year, but you can play it, okay? So we took all the cards that were played more than 1% of the time over the last year from, I believe this was updated last month, July 2021, July 2022. All right, so this includes, I just removed the banned cards that were banned on the way, so they don't appear in this list because they are making everything wrong. And I just went to Card Market to say, to put that on a graph. So if you take everything that's poor and you put them on a graph like here, you can see that there's a pretty very low number of cards that are over, let's say that's 20, 30. This is in euro, okay? This is in euro, so you have to convert actually to US dollars. It's pretty much one-on-one at the moment. But this is European market and European currency, Okay, so if you want to do this, I'm pretty sure you have to do the whole graph yourself. If you want Canadian dollars, yen, yuan, or United States dollars, whatever you do, you're gonna have to do it by yourself because it won't be applicable. The prices tend to be very different from one continent to another. When you cross an ocean, the prices are very different. So we couldn't take all the cards that were played more than 1% because actually that was, it varies of course from time to time, but at the moment it was, I think it was 1,250 cards or something like that, which was way too much work. So I just chose to cut down to top 500, which is already quite a lot of work to do. Checking prices for 500 cards and putting them in a table is already quite a lot of work, knowing that you'll have to do the job again in 3 months because whatever is not on the reprint policy of Wizards, the restricted list is going to be reprinted and the prices might drop consequently, depending on the play, on what's part of the other metagame and stuff. So, yeah. If you put those 500 cards on a graph, you would see that actually the top, 10 cards, the top 20 cards, which you can see on the right, this is sorted by price, are quite expensive, but once you got the 20 cards, you got pretty much a lower price, and this is really acceptable. You can put, depending on your money and income, you can put the acceptable line way high or low, but I mean, I'm sorry, we're just still playing Magic the Gathering. The boosters prices are even more expensive right now than they used to be. The secondary market is bursting because more and more people play Magic. I mean, the paper game is exploding in the world thanks to Commander and stuff. So more and more people will be interested in the same cards as you are. And the older cards, of course, not being reprinted, which will never be reprinted, by the way, are just going to cost more and more if more and more people want them. So the chance right now, I don't know. I believe some people are dropping Vintage and Legacy, so there's a large pool of dual lands like this one, so and this kind of thing, so we can have them for Commander, which is nice. All right. So what we wanted to demonstrate with this graph is actually if you take something that is playable in a tournament, better than poor, and you take the 500 first most played cards from the best performing decks, which brings you to about 1.5% representativity in decks, right? So all the cards here in this list, no, you can see on the screen, but you can see the top 25 something, are played more than 1.5% of the time, which is pretty good, you see this is the end of the line here. I think it's 3.2, and there shouldn't be 3 or 2.8 or something. It's between 1.5 and 2.5. I never remember how much, but it's not really representative, If you just put them on this graph and you take whatever's playable, it just requires you, without shipping fees and stuff, around 6,600 euros. Depending on how you source. I did this same graph a few months ago. It was 5,800, sorry. It really moves from time to time. It's actually complicated to track. The prices went up to 7,000 and down to 5,500. So whatever it is something like between 5,500 to 7,000, which is actually one of the lowest formats or meta formats to play Magic the Gathering, with whatever is equivalent to eternal formats in Magic. It's way less expensive if you want to have a legacy pool or a vintage pool doing the same. If you were to take the 500 cards in legacy, you would just be blown away by the prices, and also you will have to buy 4 copies of them. So the price pool, I don't know, I haven't calculated it for 5 along, but it's really, really, really expensive. I think legacy pool is over 15k US dollars or euros, and the vintage pool is out of this earth. It's just insane. It just goes over 6 digits, whatever. So if you remove all the formats which choose to have a limited by price constructions of authorized cards, like conquest, peasant, or pauper, which blatantly forbid anything that is rare from some of them, rare but 4 common for another one, and whatever is reserve list and fetch land, so you don't have to build super expensive mana bases. If you don't make a choice of price when you build your format, which we don't, it's pretty much affordable. The only thing is ahead of a curve here, and the rest is more or less being reprinted. So if you are buying them at a good moment, you might be dropping some prices and getting pretty good value. So this is what it costs to basically go from ground zero to playing the whole metagame of Duel Commander. And spoiler, those 500 cards are, for the ones who were there in 2007, pretty much all the same. They haven't moved a lot. Only new cards were added. If you look on the list, let me check. Force of Negation, for example, was printed very recently. Liliana of the Veil is just 10 years old, something like that. Endurance is very recent. Midhun Massacre is, I think, the most recent in this short list here. Midhun Massacre is very played in all formats, so I believe as long as they don't reprint it, it's going to be worth its price, but it's going to fall at some point. This is completely reprintable. The first reprint is going to make it drop down, okay? If you take the same list, but instead of this graph ranked by price, you rank it by playability in the top decks. Representativity. This gives you this graph. And of course, what you see is a mobile moving average regression curve. So you can see that the top cards are not really worth a lot. When you see a point on the bottom, it just means the card really isn't worth anything, like Lightning Bolt for 10 cents, the first ones, I believe, in Heavy Played Staves, something like that. Man Leak or something like that. One of the most played cards are really, really cheap. Alright? And most of them are reprinted. So depending on what you play, you would not need all these cards. I mean, you can get, this is Earthcraft, for example. There's a Drop of Honey, I believe. I don't even know if it's, no, I don't think Drop of Honey is in this graph anymore. Those are the 10 dual lands. You got Survival of the Fittest, Intuition, someone like that. If you don't play them, as long as you don't play them, you can totally build something with only 2 or 3 of these cards, you know, which is not really more expensive than if you were playing standard, buying new cards and buying sealed products, you know, because you would rotate your cards every year. So if you have the most expensive cards here, actually they have been played since the beginning of Duel Commander. So it's really a pretty stable economy, and all these cards are in sufficient numbers so they can be lent to you if you don't have them. So we believe that that is for the moment enough. All right, we didn't have a solution to that, but that is my analysis. By the way, I could just speak for hours about the economy. I'm watching the economy every day of Magic the Gathering. In terms of demography, when you play Magic the Gathering Duel Commander, this is an extract of last month top cities on Facebook with the visits. Of course, there are thousands and thousands of cities in the world, but yeah. São Paulo is the first one. Brazil represents Lima, Quezon, Paris, Prague, Santiago, Mexico City, Manila, Nantes and Toulouse in France. And of course, if you look at this graph, you see that we have just like pretty much Magic the Gathering older formats. 95% men, so women are more than welcome as usual. This is a problem with Magic, but I don't know what to say about that. It just, of course, it needs to be rearranged somewhere later. But the only way we can have this is just by, I believe, since we are really inclusive with everyone, crossing our fingers that Wizards of the Coast is doing the best job they can to fix that. I believe they are on their way to doing so. Many reasons for that I won't detail here, but they are going the good way, so that's gonna be changing. And as for ages ranks, as you can see, this is Magic the Gathering. Nothing has changed. The average age of Magic the Gathering is between 27 to 28 years old. So it's pretty much the distribution of Magic the Gathering, except it's a little older, maybe a little older, but not that much, because we're eternal, all right? So this was on Facebook this year, and if you want to know the top countries, you got on Facebook France, followed by United States and Philippines, Brazil, Italy, the Czech Republic, Mexico, Canada, and Germany, and Peru. So you can actually find pretty much why we have regional coordinators in these countries. Not all of them, but we're trying to fix that as soon as we can. The top posts on Facebook, this is an excerpt from 2019 and plus, because Facebook doesn't go back further in time than 2 years ago. So as you see, since we did not really go on Facebook as much as we used to be a few years ago, we are losing reach, but the reach is gained on the website and on Discord. So it's pretty much self-balancing. If you want to know the reach, by the way, the reach is a number of times people had this displayed on their walls and how many times they approximately to the time to read it, like 10 seconds, not scrolling away from the post. It just changes the reach from Facebook reaches from time to time. But basically, it means people who were interested in what you do. A couple of facts. In 2016, I think it was before we switched to 20 HP, I still have all statistics, but the top reach we ever reached, audience reach we ever reached in terms of performance was 128,000. I remember that clearly. So it just tells you that at some point when Facebook was really popular among the planet, we had up to 130 around people, something like that, 130,000 people reading our announcements. But Facebook, of course, has decreased in popularity for people, especially the gaming people, even though it gained a lot of people by reaching new countries. So, the Cambridge Analytica and stuff like that. So it just changed, and we are not as popular as we used to be. But as you see, I can tell you that the average here is there's a pattern. The more cards are announced, the more announcements, light items, rules change or anything are announced into an announcement, the more reach you're going to have. That's the rule here. I can tell you, the more cards you change and the more things you get. All right. So this was only for last 2 years. If you look at the website right now, we have lots of people. So just for which is the stats of Facebook are accurate. These ones might not be accurate because Google knows what to do, but the European GDPR, the Global Data Protection Regulation Act signed in 2018 drastically cut everything because now people have to accept all the data used. So the numbers are pretty good, pretty accurate, but they are way below what they used to be and what they're supposed to be. If you were to put a counter on a real metric counter on the back end and on the front end, you would have way more visits, excluding search engines and stuff like that. So this is not about the number of people visiting the website. This is over 1 year, by the way. This is from July 2021 to July 2022, I think. So you can have about this number of users, 87,000, but actually, from my experience, it is approximately half of reality. I would say it's half of reality. Not much more, not much less, okay? United States, of course, coming from organic traffic. This means, unfortunately, lots of people from United States believe there is only one format in its name, Commander, and when they play with only one opponent, they call that Duel Commander sometimes, or Dueling Commander. Some people have official names, more or less, with competitive EDH, CEDH, or simply just Commander, and they get confused. And they land on the website and they learn about what we do and they're like, this is not what I want, because United States, of course, is the most playing Commander country in the world and Magic the Gathering country in the world. So if you just cut that by 3 I think you get the accurate number. So United States still have the second or third place when it comes to interest in the website. Okay, so yeah, that's about what it is, and you can see that it pretty much matches exactly, or more or less exactly, what we have on Facebook: France, Brazil, Philippines, Germany, of course Czechia is Czech Republic, Canada, Italy, United Kingdom, and Mexico. It's just always the same thing. All right. If you were to put this data on a map, you would see that this is pretty much distributed on all over the planet. Of course, not lying, this is exactly the map of Magic the Gathering. This is a map of developed countries, or pretty highly developed countries, or averagely but close to highly developed countries. So this is where Magic the Gathering is present. Of course, I don't think Wizards of the Coast sells around this area or this area of the world, unfortunately. So yes, of course, this is following where Magic cards are buyable and usable. This is counted by region and country, if you can see it, and of course, this also includes third-party browsing, not human browsing only, search engines, of course, but I believe this comes from Google Analytics, so they exclude the original Google spiders, of course, but you get lots of other visits from other places of the world. But this is supposed to be filtered by Google as real human visits. All right, so this matches pretty much what you have. And of course, the numbers here, the digits, and the size of the circles have according to the people visiting us. So that's cool. And that was only for this year. Same period, by the way. This map is the visits from July 2021 to July 2022. By now, we have approximately 9,500 decks on MTG Top 8. We're gonna celebrate the 10,000s of them pretty soon, which is quite a nice database if you want to see what people have been playing and winning with all the time. MTG Top 8 goes back to the first decks in 2014. It really started to be seriously being popular for uploading decks in 2015. When it comes to MTG Top 8 and Duel Commander, of course, it has way more than this for other formats. I did make a close estimate to 10,000 tournaments being organized ever. Actually, I believe, I'm not sure about that, since all tournaments are not really registered and stuff. I believe there could be more than 50,000 tournaments organized ever since 2007. So. Hooray! That's what the format is about, creating tournaments and playing competition. We do have 100+ active members and players around the world. I'm going to explain that. Some people didn't really understand that. So, the hardest thing here is to explain the difference between France and other countries. As I said, there is a huge bias for me and for everyone because you only see what's around you. So I started doing a very quick survey around me, my city, 100 and let's say 200,000 inhabitants, and I asked for 2 other cities in France, which are larger than mine. About the people in the community, I just asked them to just lead a quick survey, like, do you know about Duel Commander? Yes. Do you have a deck to play Duel Commander? Yes. Do you know about the rules and where do you get the updates from? And do you get updates from the community all the time? And the answer was pretty interesting, actually, because if you are in France, approximately 1 people out of 4 used to get information on Facebook when we had Facebook only. And if you consider adding the website, some people know that we have a website and no Facebook page or no Discord. Some people only know about Discord, then learn about the rest. But actually, all 3 supports, all 3 media accumulated: Facebook, the website, and Discord. Some people really know nothing about them. And I believe, from what I remember, the studies showed that pretty much 50% people at minimum didn't know they exist and got the updates from friends other communities and stuff. I mean, they just usually participate in lots of communities, and the announcements are copied and pasted to them, so they don't go to the website and stuff. So we don't know that they exist. So when I gather statistics and I estimate the statistics on Facebook to be correct, because you cannot dodge them, but you can dodge the statistics on the website. So if you estimate that the website cuts down half because of the GDPR or thanks to the GDPR, half people, if you sum up that with Facebook, if you just were to make a cross of them, but I believe no one reads the announcement twice, you would end up with something about 20 to 50,000 people, 20 to 50,000 people from announcement to announcement. There's a variation, and like I said, when we announce that there's no change, we got way less people interested in what we do. When there is new stuff to announce, there is activity, there is engagement, and if you multiply this and you make a simple calculation, you can extrapolate that between 50,000 to 200,000 people answered that they have a Duel Commander deck somewhere ready to play and can play the game, even though they didn't read the latest announcement and say, that's my metric. What is an active player? It's not someone going to a tournament, because if you don't have tournaments, you can still be an active player. Like we said, it started in Alaska with people very active without a tournament, with the older EDH. So it's still the same today. There are places in the world where we got followers, people who like the format, who like Duel Commander, but they have a very small community, they have no one around to play with, it's very fragile, it just self-destroys and collapses, and then it just reborn some weeks later on. So actually you got lots of places in the world we got news. It's crazy, like every day. China, USA, Russia. We got news from countries we didn't even play Commander, like Japan, Korea, and they send news, and they send small tournaments of 8 people to MTG Top 8. They just say hello at some point, but the language barrier is completely prohibiting the communication with them. We would love to have words with them, to know about them, to help them, but it's almost impossible because they don't really know we do exist formally, and we don't have any proof of their existence. So the hardest thing is to gather all this and say, wow, people exist. So like I said, you have to remove the recursion and the redundancy of people being there all the time and on multiple platforms. But if you do that, you can expect another metric I got when I used to communicate with Wizards of the Coast at some point, or people who work for them, who don't work for them anymore actually. They estimated by whatever you call that, about 20% people were really interested in participating, being on tournaments, giving a word to Wizards of the Coast, going to Twitter, going to Reddit, going to Discord. Now they have an official Discord for Magic Gathering, communicating in some way with other people. So they were active people, active members, not necessarily playing Magic, but having Magic cards, buying them, and ready to play. And they estimated that 80% of these people were completely invisible and underground. Those people. They at most come to the pre-releases, they made the tournament, and they disappear. And I've talked to my local shops and a few shops too, and it's crazy how many people just come and go. They just come, they buy Magic the Gathering, thank you, I'm going to open this with my kids, and they'll be very happy. They have binders, they have Magic the Gathering decks, they play at home sometime casually. I just discovered some people of my very close friend, I didn't even know they were playing Magic, but they did. And it's crazy, I've bought cards online to people in my own city where I thought I knew everyone from the Magic community that I did not know about. And the people have very recent cards. So it's really hard to estimate how many people are playing Magic the Gathering worldwide. But I can tell you, 80% of them are mostly completely invisible to you. And it's fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, fortunately for the numbers and unfortunately for everyone, is the same with Duel Commander. So you actually never saw the long trail of people. They will not even attend a tournament. They maybe will come with a pet deck or some competitive deck you don't know about. They will not communicate. They don't want to talk about Magic all the time with people. So they won't be really famous people. So most of the time, these people will not be known, and it's really an impression that you're talking with the same amount of people all the time, but you make a sum of all these small groups of people, put the quotes, around the world, and you actually round up to something like this number I'm showing you today. I have pretty much no way to prove that my methodology is correct or not, but I'm making, a crossover of multiple metrics and ways to estimate this, and all of these converge to something with 100,000 people active with a Duel Commander deck ready to play somewhere in the world. That's my conclusion. It might be a high estimate. I would not go below 50,000. Never. And I used to go over 2,000 of them, which was maybe overestimated stuff. But I can tell you, we are gaining some of them every day. The statistics we get every month on other websites, on other communities and stuff. I mean, the world records being beaten every year by tournaments. The fact that more and more countries organize over 100 plus people tournaments. It means that if those tournaments exist, there are a long trail of players all around the world in each country who do not play competitively. And when your country does not have a competitive scene, you have no way to communicate with the players. You know they exist, they like your game. I swear it's crazy. We got messages on Facebook, on our page, we got messages on Discord, and some people from time to time just emerge and say, hey, we are 6 players in that region of Oregon, United States, in Saskatchewan, Canada, and there's not many people around us, but we like your game and we're playing it, and it's pretty good. It's fun. We change our decks from time to time. We got the cards. They take some time to arrive, but it's fine. And we got some people in China just reporting tournaments with very good decks. Actually, if you have known the Inala decks from last year, I believe one of the first early versions of the deck was made by a Chinese player unknown to most people in the world, who made a list at some point and reported it to, I think it was MTG Top 8, see? So that's pretty good. That was my way to estimate it, and I still stand by this number after 2 or 3 years. I believe it's strongly decreased when we moved from 30 to 20 points. We lost approximately 2/3 of the community at this moment, but we also gained a new half of the community at this moment. So that was the major change in when I saw a very radical change in this. But also the media we use, Google and Facebook, are getting more and more defied by the people, so their numbers are going to be less and less accurate over time. All right, and that's where we stand. That's here we are today at the middle of 2022. We lived over the COVID situation and all those crises of our Earth, and it's not really hard, but it's kind of hard sometimes to be part of this whole adventure. But this adventure would not exist without Wizards of the Coast, who still makes Magic the Gathering. I'm still an old fart ranting from time to time about the new cards, but I believe I still do like most of them, and I still have fun while playing sometimes Magic the Gathering. This only exists also thanks to the judges, who especially invest themselves into Duel Commander and know how it's played and can rule it because it's Magic the Gathering based, but also to the players who play the game, because it all started with an idea of a judge like 15 years ago. It's been 15 years and we're still here, from person to person, from people to people. I personally have been here for, how long? 7 years? 8 years? I don't remember. I don't even remember. 8 years. I think I've been here since 2014. 8 years I've been a member of the Duel community, Duel Commander Rules Committee. It's crazy. And also, it only exists as a competitive format thanks to tournament organizers in the world, like the people we showed and given exclusivity for this panel last Saturday. And we will never thank anyone around the world making a tournament enough for everything that they do. It's really, really crazy. All the shops, organizations, individuals, companies, whatever. Whoever builds this, thank you very much. So, I don't know where it started. It started a long time ago over the whole history of a very thin and fragile history. You know, it could have never existed, it could have died, it could have been different, but all this chaotic part that Earth is today led us here and led you here. So, like Buzz Lightyear would say, to infinity and beyond. And with that, thanks from all of us at the committee to all of you, all over the world, wherever you are, whoever you are, we love you a lot. Thanks for what you do, thanks for being here. We had complete weekends and days of discussions. All discussions make a total of over 100,000 messages. It's something you wouldn't believe in, but 19 people now discussing on a daily basis is a lot of messages. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. All that activity, of that effervescence, and more and more new players, especially new casual players on one side, new professional players being interested in Duel Commanders. We have a next world champion who just tried Duel Commander recently, and he's the nicest person in the world. So that's so many good news. It's pretty cool, actually. So thanks to everyone. Thanks for you if you have seen this video as a whole. I will give you the slides if you ask for them. I will answer all the questions. If you just reach out to me on Discord with DarkFX, I'm on our official Discord. It's on our official website. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on anything you want me to be in. I got an account of pretty much all the social networks in the world. So if you want to reach out to me, Snapchat, Instagram, Reddit, whatever, I'm here. All right. Thank you very much, and I wish you all very good games and a very bright future with Duel Commander. See you next time.